to remember and celebrate the life of my father. Shit.
Don't do that.
You can't get away without a Catholic church.
So there's no one here, there's no one left in the world now to tell us about the asthmatic child with the absentee father that was my father, or his itinerant early childhood. There's no one here to tell us about the teenager who rejected religion and became an uncompromising atheist after his bar mitzvah. There's no one here to tell us about the 18-year-old with the rifle guarding a Japanese prisoner on Tinian Island during World War II, or about the successful English and not so successful chemistry major that my artist mother fell in love with at UCLA. But surely all of these people formed the father, uncle, grandfather, and friend that we all knew as children and as adults. For my part, I can only speak of the conscientious but playful Dr. Spock reading, tickling father with the big grin and scratchy bedtime kisses who spoiled his youngest daughter. And of the man I got to know as I matured, a man who was for me defined by his powerful, sometimes unbending ethics, by his deep belief in reason and informed, rational argument, and not least, by his belief in the power and intrinsic good of participatory democracy. As I think everyone in this room knows, Dad also believed, for better and worse, that his opinion mattered. and that the whole world needed to know what it was. If this character trait sometimes put a kink in family and personal relationships, it was certainly in keeping with his approach to democracy. He wasn't by any stretch of the imagination a politician, as his one small bid for Los Gatos Town Council showed. He wasn't ingratiating or conciliatory enough, and he was usually on the opposite side of the issues from the money. But he worked tirelessly to keep his congressman, his party, and his community on track. He had an optimism that I can never emulate, that the world, his community, his state, and his country not only should, but could be better, that could be a better, more just place if we only worked hard and diligently enough. I don't actually know how it happened that Dad developed his love for wild places. He had a restless, impatient character. He was full of nervous energy, seldom quiet, and he rarely appeared contemplative, except when he wasn't composing an article or a letter. He seemed to have no sense of the spiritual. He grew up in cities, in Minneapolis and Los Angeles, and he raised us until I was 14 in Los Angeles. And yet, somehow, he found some sort of quiet center, some spiritual connection in the mountains and redwood forest and rocky coastlines of California. I don't know why, I don't know how it happened, but he understood the importance, the necessity of wilderness and its precarious place in the 20th century. And of course, he fought like he fought for everything he believed right to preserve it. That was one of the most defining things that he gave me, that I inherited. He carried me to the top of Mount Lassen at 4. He moved us out of the city, moved us north to a house on the edge of the Santa Cruz Mountains when I was 14, a move I welcomed, even though they gave away my dog. Dad opened the doors of California for me, and he gave me my own sense of the spiritual, if not his enduring optimism or letter-writing political engagement. He gave that to other members of the family. Dad was a complex, decidedly controversial character. He was outgoing, opinionated, stubborn, steadfast, loving, judgmental, loyal, smart, articulate. The ways that those traits combined, the way they complemented and compensated each other, changed in the last years of his life. There's nobody here that met him then. I thought there was. Okay. They were difficult years, both for Dad, as he struggled to care for our mother and his own health and capacities declined, and for me and my siblings. So I just want to take a moment to thank you, the dear friends and family members who helped us through that last decade, what we might call the Alzheimer's phase of our parents' lives. Our friends and our cousins listened with compassion and with empathy. They shared their own stories and gave advice. They visited Dad's mom during one of their most difficult moments. And not least, you allowed us the relief of laughter and irony. I also want to give a short shout out today. They're not here, I don't think, no. To some of the advisors and caregivers that helped us in these last years. To their longtime housekeeper and friend Judy, to the nurse and expert on aging Cheryl, who helped us find solutions when solutions seemed not to exist, to Nurse Fatima, and to the staff and caregivers at Atria Tamalpais Creek, and not least to the hospice team that helped my brother and my sister in the last weeks of Dad's lives. Thank you all.